Thank you very much to the final speaker. May I now ask the members of the jury to retire and to consider the verdict. May I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to give them a round of applause as they go off. I think they need it. As the members of the jury are going off to consider their verdict, I would remind them, if they're still listening, that if I understand correctly, Sciences Po closes at 9:15 on the dot. So, members of the jury, be honest, be true, be fast. Germany should let Europe die. I am convinced that there are members of the House who would be more than delighted to intervene. I already see hands raised. This is absolutely wonderful. This is what a chairman looks for. There's a young lady with glasses at the back with a white blouse, I believe, yes. And then there's a gentleman over here. I've got him.
Hi, Germany. You said Europe was at peace because we are all democracy today. But wasn't Hitler elected democratically? And so does Germany really want to repeat its mistakes, such as going solo in a context, as we all said, of nationalism? And secondly, most importantly, actually, how are you going to survive without Italian and French food? Is it really healthy for you to really survive on beer and sausage?
So on the first point, you state that Hitler was elected democratically. And I think if we had more time to explain this, we would note that this idea of a democratic peace, that democracies do not go to war with each other, mean more than just a majority election of a single leader, for example, Hitler. It means things like democratic values. It means things like respect for human rights, things that are currently in existence in Europe. So you might point out that Hitler was elected democratically, but they didn't share those democratic values. They didn't share that respect for human rights that we find throughout Europe and throughout liberal democracies today that prevent war. And your second question was about food. I think that even if the Eurozone collapsed, we would still be able to enjoy all of the rich, delicious cuisine from all parts of Europe through trade.
Madam Questioner, can I just say one thing? My wife is Italian. I don't go to Italian restaurants. I've got one at home. Yes, there's a gentleman over here.
I feel like you laugh because you remember how many times I mentioned sex in the semi-final yesterday. I'm only going to mention...
So could you be erect, please?
I'm only going to... I'm only going to mention it once this time. So, first thing I want to talk about is that these guys characterize Germany as a mother and Europe as a baby, which means they think that mothers should let their babies die. Don't go near my babies, please, at any point ever. Don't kill babies. Guys, you're killing babies. Okay, but most important thing I wanted to talk about briefly is this idea that, like, well, in the States, we don't have this problem, so obviously it's fine in Europe. No, okay? Because Germany isn't as massive as America, right? You can't say, well, America's all right, because, like, they're not in a European Union, so obviously Germany's going to be fine, because America's huge, right? The fact that America can combine millions and millions of people in 50 different states with loads and loads of different cultural heritages and cultural backgrounds and economic bases under one single currency means that probably actually what you're saying about Germany is entirely untrue, given that Germany is tiny in comparison, right? So you guys can't say that. And secondly, this very briefly, this idea of, like, and this is where the sex reference is coming, this idea of, like, yeah, well, you know, it'll be fine when they leave because people still need them, right? So the problem is that they were helping, they were part of the Eurozone, and then they left when times were hard, right? So it doesn't matter to, like, generic lady in this room that I'm not going to have sex with her this evening. But if I were to say to that lady, I'm going to have sex with you this evening, and then a few hours later say, actually, I have an amazing girlfriend, sorry, then she's probably going to have a problem with that, right? So in the same way, when Germany says, I'm going to, metaphorically sex you up with our money, and we're going to, give you all this money and it's going to be great. And then they say, actually, no, now that times are hard, I'm going to, not give you my sex money. Not give you my money anymore. That's when resentment happens. That's when what all these guys talk about people not really wanting to be in trade with Germany happens. And that's why when you guys say, yeah, well, we'll be fine, it's problematic. Sorry about my American accent. I'm working on it.
So I was impressed with how your 5 questions were able to move from mothers to sex. So congratulations there. But I guess I'll start off with, your first question and move on. With the idea of allowing your child to die, what we were saying there was that your child has to be able to die by their own sword. If, for example, the money I give to Matt is used for him to buy heroin, then in that point, maybe me giving him money, if I pull that money away, may actually cause him to switch his practices in the long run, which was my third independent point. So along those lines, we think you actually get more long-term solvency in Europe by having Germany pull out. Now, could you remind me of your second, third, fourth, and fifth questions, just really quickly, so I can respond to them in a sentence summary, if that's all right?
Well, okay. I think we'll move on. There's a young lady over here.
Okay, I apologize. Feel free to talk to me after the round. So.
To change the subject slightly, gentlemen, Charlotte, the brain power on the stage, your average IQ is out of the ballpark. Congratulations, the clash in this debate was exceptional. But with all that brain power, do you have any ideas about how you can improve the participation of women in debating?
Hear, hear.
Charlotte.
Okay, really, that was excellent. Seeing as females are very well represented on this stage, that was an excellent question. I was actually trying to make one of the metaphors about how German austerity measures for Germany for Europe were as painful as my heels, but I never actually got around to it. They're actually horrible. They're the worst decision I made. Similar to Germany staying in the Eurozone. We actually think that in order to increase women in debate, first of all, gentlemen, please step it up. Second of all, we also think that we have a very excellent opportunity later tonight to all mingle, and I think it would be excellent if all the women and men could get together and make sure that, we all know each other. It's cool, Otherwise, thank you for the question.
Anyone else yes, gentleman over here.
So I may turn back to the rather boring topic of the debate tonight. So we've heard many times the argument from the Princeton team that simply the measures don't work and reintegration of the Eurozone doesn't work. But I believe we should put in consideration that when this all-European project began, then rather Germany was kind of the baby of the Western Europe, and Germany had not those drugs or the bad habit of making huge government expenses, but beginning wars and beginning conflicts. And it took also time to integrate Germany in the peaceful community of Western Europe. Shouldn't we give more time for, let's say now, the southern and the eastern periphery of Europe to be reintegrated in the economically prospering Europe?
Okay, Brian, back to you.
Okay, so excellent question. Really quick, are all the judges out of the room?
Yes.
Okay, it absolutely worked in the beginning. The Eurozone was initially a fantastic idea. Right now, it's a far different world than it was in the past. And the problem right now is that as the economies of the world has become more globalized, the necessity of regional agreements between individual countries has become less and less important. Because countries like Germany can now look to areas like China, can look to the United States, can engage in agreements across the globe to a far greater capacity than they could before. Moreover, the removal of 2 competing superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, has allowed a sort of stability in Europe that I don't believe was prevalent in the past, therefore allowing the removal of the Eurozone. It was a great measure initially. We personally believe that is the case. That's why I wanted to wait for the judges to leave the room. But right now, we believe it's failing. Thank you.
Okay. Any of you want to? Yes? No? Tim?
I'm going to change the subject back, actually. I'm really sorry, to Bryony's question about women, because I know I basically make a lot of jokes, but I think this is a really serious problem. It's one that I'd quite like to talk about. So I don't know if anyone's aware, but we actually had an incident about a month ago in Glasgow on the debating circuit, which was two incredible female debaters were in the final at a competition there and were heckled and booed by male members of the audience simply for being there, simply for being female, and were told, get this woman out of my chamber, shame, woman, etc. And that's obviously utterly unacceptable, and it's a real problem that we actually have. And since then, there has been a huge movement amongst people on the British debating circuit to try and decrease the amount of misogyny in debating. There was an anonymous survey set up so that women could share their experiences of misogyny and discrimination within the debating circuit. I think it's a really, really serious problem that does need to be addressed. And I think it's a massive shame because there are so many so capable women in debating. Some of the best debaters in Cambridge, some of the best debaters I've ever met have all been female. And I think it's a massive problem.
Yes, a young lady in the middle.
Good evening. This is just, It's just out of curiosity, since this happened even last evening, a question for the Shadow Prime Minister. So, how is it that you breathe while you speak? And you do it so long, you did it twice?
Through my skin.
Anyone else like to come in for or against? Questions to either member or either team? So, this House doesn't really care about Europe and Germany, is that what I understand? Come on, you are mostly Europeans, I imagine.
Okay, so I have another question.
Ah, yes.
So,
How come there are so many men as opposed to not enough women? Is that
the idea of Germany leaving the European Union is almost an act of war. That would be a huge, huge shock to the system, undoing 60 years of peace. I don't feel that Princeton really responded to the idea of that short-term instability. I think it would be a lot worse in the streets of Cyprus and in Italy. Did you want to expand on that argument? Here's the opportunity.
Right, sure.
Okay, Aaron?
So just to clarify exactly what our position was, we weren't saying that Germany should pull out of the EU. We were saying that Germany should pull out of the Eurozone, even if this meant that the EU would collapse, which we didn't really, the debate didn't really get into whether or not that would happen. But that's what our position was. But I think that I would say that regional crises happen a lot. And I think that the example of Argentina is actually a really, really good one for our side, because it was a really bad monetary crisis in Argentina. I'm not entirely clear in the history, but I remember it was an enormous shock to the system. And yes, it was very bad in the short run. This is true. But in the long run, if we look now, Argentina is one of the 3 biggest economies in South America, along with Brazil and Chile. Argentina is doing really, really well. And I think that you have to weigh what the long term is going to look like a lot more than the short term, because the long term lasts a lot longer.
Okay. Yes, there's a young gentleman at the back.
Hello, hi. Congratulations on both your teams. It was a great debate. Princeton, you've been talking a lot about Argentina and how the crisis had a good effect now on everything. But what you don't seem to understand is that Argentina is one country, whereas Europe is 27. So it's not comparable. You can't compare it. So I just wanted to know why Argentina so much when it's just one country.
Aaron, you want to come back on that? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tess. Thank you for that great question. Oh, if our judges are ready to come in. I'm going to quickly answer it with an answer that basically comes down to grand strategy. Whether you're one nation in an alliance of 27 or one nation in a world of 200 plus, you still have that either hegemonic power or balance of power forces against you. Those are not only economic, but those are political. So whether you're united as a group of nations, whether that be in the European Union or NATO or all of these other alliances that exist, or you're simply allied based on common thought, common ideas, there is a significant difference. And where we see this is that Germany, as this hegemon in the region, this very significant power, with or without those, the European Union, they'll form the alliances they'll need, they'll grow the economy as they must. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, the great moment has arrived. The jury has returned. I would ask you, please, to welcome the members of the jury, and in particular, Her Excellency, Ms. Susanne Wassermann, the German ambassador here in Paris, to deliver the result.
Dear competitors, ladies and gentlemen, the European Union is the most successful peace project in human history. The future of the European history of the European Union is the most exciting element of politics of today. The transatlantic cooperation, EU, US, is one of the most important pillars of this politics. Having said this, I enjoyed a discussion on a question that is not so relevant, but was fascinating. And it is my great pleasure to announce now the winner of the second edition of the Transatlantic Debating Championship. And this is the team of Cambridge.
Can I also ask now the ambassador to announce the Best Speaker Prize?
And it is likewise my great pleasure to announce the best speaker of the round, and this is Connor from Princeton.
Can I ask now the ambassador to present the trophy, along with the other members of the jury, to the winning team from Cambridge? Matt Sanders. Michael Dunn. Li Jiawei. Peter Morrissey and Tim Squirrel.
So, before the building shuts down and everything, just thought I want to say a massive thank you to a bunch of people on behalf of the entire Cambridge contingent, of course. First of all, thank you to our opponents who were magnificent today. It was such a great experience to get from these guys. And of course, to our opponents from the semi-final as well, who gave us a real shock, and we were like, this debate format is meant to be humorous. That's not what English people do. I'm not English, therefore. But thank you so much to them as well. In fact, all the teams for magnificent debates throughout the semi-final rounds. And of course, to all the people in the organizing team, every single judge who's watched us and sat through a long, arduous set of debates, which is sort of unfortunate. Thank you so much as well for making this a wonderful experience, I'm sure, for all of us. And last of all, so I don't bore you guys, thank you so much to everybody who's here in the debate, and I guess from the previous day as well, and the city of Paris for just being generally beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Séance Po closes at 15 minutes past 9, so we've got 5 minutes. In the French Debating Association, we have a feeling, we have a sentiment, we have an emotion, we have a belief, and that is that we decide, you decide, together. So I'm going to ask you once again to make your voices heard. If you're in favor of the motion and you believe that the motion has been defended by the government, by the Princeton side, then you say aye. If you believe and you're against the motion and you believe that the motion has been correctly opposed by the Cambridge side, you say nay. It's all about volume, ladies and gentlemen. So the final word is yours. This House believes that Germany should let Europe die. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those against, please say nay. Nay. I am British, from Belfast in the United Kingdom. I believe in fair play. The government has it. Photo, groupe photo. Où est-ce que vous voulez que... Team, group photograph.
You guys have the harder side.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
All right, I will. I'll send.